Did you know that you can turn just $3 worth of materials into a piece of art worth $250? I created several different models based on one of the most searched terms on Etsy with the goal of achieving the highest possible return. And of course, I also support my subscribers in building their own business, because when you purchase one of my models, you receive a lifetime commercial license, which means you are allowed to produce these models for around $3 and sell them anywhere for a profit. However, before you reach the point where you can create your own concrete wall art for around $3, there are several steps involved, and a small initial investment is also required. Many of my viewers own a 3D printer, and I have already shown you how you can use one to create concrete candle holders and floor lamps. However, all of the models I have used so far were designed in a way that allowed you to achieve a good finish with primer and some sanding. But today, we are going to take a different approach and use a resin printer. The reason is that some of these models have deep grooves and recessed areas that are very difficult to sand properly. So we need to make sure the surface comes out so smooth directly from the printer that no additional post-processing is necessary. This way we save time, money, and probably a few nerves as well. At least I hope so. This is my test model and it is simply perfect for today's video. This file is available in two different versions, one with the circles and one without them. I also have 3 different types of resin here, but honestly I don't think it makes much of a difference which type of resin we use for models like these when the goal is to create a silicone mold from them. The different types of resin become especially important when printing highly detailed models, because in those cases choosing the right type of resin can make a significant difference. I'm also planning another video where I will show you how to create art toys worth up to $1,000 if that's something you would be interested in seeing. Since my wall art pieces are already quite large, this printer that Anycubic sent me is perfect for this project because it has a massive build area of 285.5 by 214 millimeters. Since I have absolutely no desire to do a test print first, and I simply trust that the machine will do a good job, I'm starting directly with the actual model. And if I do start worrying at some point, there is a built-in camera so I can check on the print from my smartphone at any time. So I uploaded the file and the only thing left to do was add the resin. I'm using standard resin for this. You can usually get it pretty cheap because all the manufacturers constantly offer big discounts. And then the printing process started. In my case, it has been about a year since I last printed anything with resin. I bought a resin printer myself back then, partly because the Elegoo I chose has a built-in vat heater that keeps the resin warm inside the vat. My workshop gets pretty cold during the winter, so this is actually quite important for me, and luckily this Anycubic printer also has a built-in vat heater, so the resin stays at the right temperature during the printing process. And as you can see, the result is not perfect, it's not even really good. But the first thing I wanted to do was get the whole thing off the build plate. Compared to FDM printers, resin printers have one pretty big disadvantage in my opinion, and that's the entire process between finishing the print and fully curing the final model. Everything that happens in between is a pretty sticky process. From removing the support structures without damaging the model to completely cleaning the resin vat and everything else involved, it can easily take around 30 minutes, and it's really important to clean everything properly. I use isopropyl alcohol for this, and it works pretty well. Even at this point I had already noticed a few things about the model, but first I wanted to test the wash and cure station because it makes sure that the print is no longer covered in sticky, uncured resin afterward. And this is by far the biggest wash and cure station I have ever seen. Inside, the part will rotate while water and isopropyl alcohol spray it from all sides and clean all the different corners. We have 4 hoses in total, 3 of them are white and 1 is transparent. All 4 hoses are numbered, so I basically can't do anything wrong here. Then we have 2 containers, one is simply filled with water and the second one is filled with isopropyl alcohol. I think I poured around 3.5 liters of isopropyl alcohol into it. That was actually everything I had left. A blue bucket is also included, and the transparent hose goes directly into that bucket. Now I'm simply going to run the automatic mode. A few clicks and the whole process starts. I can see from the container that the isopropyl alcohol is being pumped into the machine. After the cleaning process, the isopropyl alcohol goes back into the container because of course you can reuse it many times, And now the washing process with regular water begins. The water then goes into the blue bucket. You can find instructions in the manual on how to properly dispose of this water. You definitely shouldn't simply pour it down the drain because it contains isopropyl alcohol and resin residue. And now we come to the final step. We can see the purple UV light here, which fully cures the resin. If I want to be completely safe, I manually add another 30 seconds of curing afterward. And guys, there we go, it's finished. But unfortunately it's not perfect. I had to adjust the model a little more in the slicer. For the first attempt, I automatically generated the support structures and didn't add any infill, which is why the model ended up being extremely hollow. The model warped quite badly at the front, so I had to adjust my settings again. So after slicing the model again, I noticed something about the printer that actually scared me a little the first time because of the noise it made. Every time the build plate holder moves down, it touches the plastic housing, which creates a pretty loud noise. And there we go, now the whole thing already looks much better. I added some massive supports on the sides, especially at the beginning of the model, to prevent it from bending so much around the edges. I also added infill to prevent the front plate from warping again. The massive supports that I manually added are of course a little more difficult to remove than the standard supports, but it's still completely manageable. After that, it went back into the wash and cure station, and there we go. Here you can see the difference compared to the first model. It turned out really well, especially on the front, which is the most important visible side. And because of the additional infill, the model is also no longer quite as hollow. However, there is one downside. The supports on the sides always leave a small hole when I remove them. For me, this means that I have to use spray filler here again and sand everything afterward, and that's exactly what I originally wanted to avoid. For models like the ones from my previous videos, which I also offered for you to download, a resin printer would probably be the best choice. With smaller models like those, a support structure underneath is completely enough and basically nothing can go wrong during the printing process. For me, however, it was now time for the two steps I actually wanted to avoid. But I have no other choice, so I need to cover the small holes with spray filler and sand them afterward. In the meantime, I started another print using water-washable ABS-like resin and printed a few models for my kids. Personalized and even AI-generated models can be created quickly and exactly the way you want them. For this cleaning process, both containers are simply filled with water. Just look at these models. This is amazing. For tabletop games, Monopoly and many other things, you can quickly print some extremely interesting figures with an incredible amount of detail. But now, let's continue with the silicone mold project before we move on to casting the concrete. So far, I'm really enjoying this printer, and that's why I'm going to print something big for myself as well. There are actually quite a few shops that focus entirely on silicone molds, and some of these shops are doing extremely well. To prevent the print from starting to float inside the silicone, it first needs to be fixed in place using double-sided tape. It's important to position the model pretty much in the center, because otherwise you'll end up with a thick silicone wall on one side and a thin silicone wall on the other. Now let's move on to the frame. Here I'm using strong tape and also a little bit of hot glue in the areas where I think there could potentially be some leakage. It's almost 30 degrees Celsius in this room right now, and because of the high temperature the silicone can become quite runny, so make sure to check carefully that everything is completely sealed. Now let's move on to the two-component silicone. I'm using a shore hardness of 20 because in my opinion it works best for models like these. And of course I'll leave links to the materials I'm using in the description below. Now we need to mix both components together at a 1:1 ratio. I'm preparing a slightly larger amount because I'm casting 3 different models today. Of course you won't need this much for just one model, but it's always a good idea to have another model ready for casting somewhere nearby. If you have any silicone left over at the end, you can simply pour the rest into that mold, because silicone definitely isn't cheap. I'm mixing both components by weight at a 1:1 ratio. If you don't have a precision scale, you can simply use 2 cups and fill both of them to approximately the same level. That will also give you a mixing ratio of roughly 1:1. Now mix everything together really well. After that, the silicone goes into my vacuum chamber. And yes, with good quality silicone, the air bubbles can also escape by themselves over time. But if you eventually decide to work with silicone molds more often, or even get seriously into this type of work, then in my opinion you should eventually invest in a vacuum chamber. Press one button, move the lever to the side, and that's basically it. I do have to be really careful here though, because I have quite a lot of silicone inside the container, and because of the vacuum it expands significantly. Just look at this, it almost looks like the silicone is boiling. Now we wait for about 1 minute, and as you can see, there is barely any air left inside the silicone. Perfect. Now I open the lever again to release the vacuum inside the chamber. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to remove the lid. And now, for me, it's time to start pouring. Just look at how runny the silicone is today. That's simply because of the high temperature in this room. I also think it's going to cure significantly faster than usual because of that. When pouring, you shouldn't go too fast. Always pour slowly so that the silicone has enough time to flow everywhere and spread evenly around the entire model. Silicone really captures every single detail of the original model, so if you have a scratch on your model, that exact scratch will also be transferred into the silicone mold. For casting concrete, that's usually not a big problem because you probably won't even notice a small scratch in the finished concrete piece. But with finer materials or surfaces, something like that could definitely be visible afterward. So, about 5 minutes have passed now, and as you can see, there are still some air bubbles rising to the surface. That means I trapped some air in certain areas while pouring the silicone. But as I said, with good quality silicone, these air bubbles should still have enough time to rise to the surface by themselves and escape. Now I'm simply going to leave everything as it is and wait for about 1 day. The next day the silicone should definitely be fully cured, so let's take a look at everything together first. I'm removing all the tape, followed by the hot glue in the areas where I used it. The model is fixed to the bottom with double-sided tape, so it's a little more difficult to remove. But with a spatula, as you can see here, it actually works pretty well. However, the silicone that came into direct contact with the tape didn't cure properly, so I had to wipe and clean those areas a little more. Now it's time to remove the actual silicone mold. And I immediately noticed that the silicone still looked pretty fresh and uncured in some areas. It can't really be because of the curing time. The actual problem seems to be that the silicone doesn't cure properly when it comes into direct contact with the resin. I had sprayed the sides with spray filler because the support structures left some small holes there. And exactly in those areas, the silicone cured perfectly. That's why I definitely should have applied a very thin layer of spray filler to the front side as well. Unfortunately, this problem now partially ruins the entire project. But because of time constraints and the planned release date of this video, I couldn't cast the entire mold again. So I decided to clean the silicone mold with isopropyl alcohol instead. The areas that didn't cure properly are still slightly liquid and sticky, and they're really difficult to clean completely. I decided to continue this way, but I definitely recommend applying a very thin layer of spray filler to the entire printed object before pouring the silicone mold over it. Unfortunately, I can't get my mold 100% clean anymore, but I thought I'd simply continue anyway and see what the final result looks like. Now it's time for our concrete. In my other concrete videos, I've already gone into much more detail about the correct concrete mixture, and I've also shown you how you can build your own vibration table for very little money instead of buying one. Now the frame goes into the mold. However, with a model like this, there is one slightly complicated part, and that's creating the recess for the wall mount directly inside the concrete. I'm spraying the model for this recess with silicone spray beforehand, hoping that the concrete won't stick to it too strongly later. However, I think you would probably get a very similar result even without the silicone spray. Now let's move on to the concrete mixture. With new models, I usually determine the amount of water more by feeling it first, but normally I have my exact measurements for 1 kilogram of concrete. By the way, I used a total of 2.7 kilograms of concrete for this model. At my prices, that's approximately 2.70 euros. So in the end, my finished product costs less than $3 in material costs. On top of that, there is the wall mount, which probably costs around 20 cents worth of filament. Of course, when selling the finished product, you would always ship this wall mount together with it. Thanks to the plasticizer, the concrete flows and spreads pretty well by itself and reaches all the different areas of the mold. By now, I've designed 3 different wall art models like this, which you are also allowed to produce and sell. And I'll keep adding new products over time, so make sure to regularly check my digital Etsy shop for new models. While my concrete is curing, my Amazon delivery with some new resin also arrived. The first 3 bottles of resin were provided to me by Anycubic. I created a model using AI, specifically a T-Rex with robotic armor. Since I really enjoy playing Ark, Survival Ascended, and now have a large resin printer, I wanted to print a similar figure for myself. So my concrete has now been curing for about 16 hours. And here comes an important step that you should probably do after around 10 hours. I use a hammer to gently knock the model for the recess down by a few millimeters. Concrete continues to cure and gain strength over many days. The longer I wait before doing this step, the greater the chance that something could go wrong. So I knocked it down slightly and lifted the end piece just a little bit. Now the concrete can continue curing and become even stronger before I completely remove the piece later. Technically, I could probably remove it completely right now, but there is a risk that the end piece could break off. So I'd rather give the concrete a little more time. My T-Rex is finished now. And just look at how good it looks. This printer is absolutely massive and I haven't even used the entire build plate. I love the finished models you can get from a resin printer, but I really don't like all the post-processing. The entire cleaning process and everything else that comes with it is definitely not my favorite part. But as soon as the finished model is standing in front of me, I always tell myself the same thing. It was worth it. Just look at how well this model turned out. I also want to mention that I printed everything today using the standard settings. Of course, you can print with even more detail, but just like with an FDM printer, the printing process will simply take longer. My T-Rex is absolutely perfect for me. But now, let's continue with our concrete artwork. I need to remove the piece that creates the recess without damaging the concrete. By now, the concrete has become even harder, and with a few gentle taps downward, it actually works pretty well. And there we go, it worked. My wall mount fits perfectly inside and it will easily be able to hold the approximately 3 kilograms of concrete. The mount also can't simply slide forward and come out like it can with some similar models from other sellers. Man, maybe I should actually patent this technique. Oh, and the final wall mount will of course be made a little deeper. This one was only made for testing. And now comes the most important part. Let's finally take a look at what the complete artwork looks like. Since the silicone mold already had the problem I mentioned earlier and didn't fully cure on the front side, the final product obviously couldn't be perfect either. It turned out good, but it's simply not perfect. And especially not perfect enough to sell for 250 euros. But with my concrete products, the first model is almost never perfect anyway, and for those of you who are just getting started, there is one important thing you should know. The first model cast in a fresh silicone mold can have a lot of tiny air bubbles in the concrete. In my experience, this usually only happens with the first casting. I think there is simply still some air trapped inside the silicone itself. From the second casting onward, the result usually looks significantly better. Overall, I'm happy with the model. But as I said, in its current condition, it's still not good enough to sell. There are marks on the concrete from the silicone that didn't fully cure, and there are also too many small holes caused by trapped air bubbles. But the second model will be perfect. And one more thing, out of all the models I've created so far, this is probably the most difficult one to make because it has so many deep areas, edges, and different levels. If you're making a model like this to sell, you should lightly sand the back with some coarse sandpaper so that the back is also nice, flat and even. If the concrete is less than 2 days old, it's actually very easy to sand, even completely without any machines. You should definitely check out the resin printer. And if you purchase through my links, you'll also be supporting my work, which will allow me to spend more time working on YouTube in the future instead of only being able to work on it during my free time, like I do right now.